This situation? Yeah, it's not just uncomfortable. It's a full-blown red flag for the Indiana Fever and the WNBA. Because here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White are on a collision course. And if this thing isn't handled carefully, it's going to explode in everyone's face. Caitlin Clark is the engine. She's the draw. She's the reason ratings spike, arenas sell out, and the league suddenly wants primetime attention. But now, we're hearing reports and seeing comments that suggest the Fever's head coach may want no part of coaching a player like Caitlin Clark.
We have a major problem on our hands. This is not good. This is not good, and this is just kind of telling us what we already knew. We already knew that Stephanie Bonehead White is not the coach for Caitlin Clark. Can Stephanie White coach the game of basketball? Yes, but is she the right coach for Caitlin Clark? Probably absolutely not. I don't think she is at all. I don't want her anywhere near Caitlin Clark.
At least not the version of her that actually makes this league money. That's a problem. Because Caitlin Clark isn't a system player. She's not here to be hidden in motion offense, parked at small forward, or told to play safe while the ball pops around. She's here to dominate. And when Clark recently name-dropped Luka Dončić as a player she studies and wants to learn from, that wasn't casual. That was a warning shot. Because if your franchise player wants to evolve into a Luka-style offensive engine and your head coach openly criticizes that exact style of play,
you was trying to putting Harry McDonald in at point guard over Caitlin. You have lost your damn mind. And now with these recent comments from Caitlin Clark, we know Stephanie White is not the coach for Caitlin Clark. We got to break this down. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, and hype the video. Let's get right into things. So we already know CC took over NBC and the NBA. She takes over everywhere she go, damn it.
Yeah, that's not chemistry, that's friction. Welcome to Her Hoops. Like, comment, subscribe, because we're breaking this all the way down. To really understand why this situation feels off, you've got to rewind a bit. Caitlin Clark didn't just enter the WNBA. She took it over. From college to the pros, every stop has followed the same pattern. Bigger crowds, louder debates, and non-stop attention. Love her or hate her, Caitlin Clark changes the gravity of the league. And last season, the Indiana Fever offense wasn't broken. Post-Olympic break, it was must-see basketball.
Stephanie White hates the way Luka plays. Stephanie White does not like the way Luka Dončić played basketball. Oh, KTV, what are you talking about? Let's go here. This is Stephanie White calling a Dallas Mavericks game while Luka was out with an injury, and listen to what she had to say.
A wrist sprain in that game and has been out since. And that puts a lot on the plate of players like Spencer Dinwiddie, who just came in.
Fast pace, high usage, let Caitlin cook. Then came the coaching change. Stephanie White arrives with a very clear basketball philosophy. Ball movement, shared usage, system-first offense. And on paper, that sounds great. Coaches love that. Analysts love that. Basketball purists eat that up. But here's the catch. That philosophy directly clashes with how Caitlin Clark plays and thrives. This isn't a secret. White has publicly praised offenses that function better when high-usage stars are off the floor. She's been vocal about preferring flow over dominance, motion over control. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is openly saying she wants to study Luka Dončić, a player whose entire greatness is built on controlling space, dictating pace, and having the ball in his hands when it matters most. So now ask yourself, how does a coach who dislikes heliocentric basketball maximize a player who is heliocentric basketball? That's the tension. And it's been building quietly until now. Here's where this stops being vibes and starts being basketball reality. Step 1. Caitlin Clark speaks. On an NBA broadcast, no less. When asked what she wants to add to her game, she doesn't name a role player. She doesn't say, off-ball movement. She says, Luka Dončić. That matters. Because Luka's game is about control. Controlling defenders, absorbing contact, manipulating space, and making reads with the ball in his hands. Caitlin admitting she wants to stop running away from defense and start using her body? That's growth. That's evolution. Step 2. Stephanie White's own words. While calling an NBA game, White openly praises how the Mavericks' offense pops and moves when Luka is not on the floor. High usage? Ball dominance? She frames it as a limitation, not a feature. That's not subtle. Step 3. Connect the dots. If your coach believes the offense improves when stars relinquish control, and your franchise player believes her next leap comes from taking more control, that's not a small disagreement. That's a philosophical divide. And it explains everything fans have already seen. Caitlin shifted off ball, others handling initiation, the offense flowing around her instead of through her. You can't tell a generational scorer to study Luka, then coach her like she's just another piece. That's not development, that's suppression. Here's where the contradictions get loud. On one hand, the league markets Caitlin Clark as the future, the draw, the ratings magnet, the face casual fans recognize instantly. On the other hand, she's being coached like she's a problem to manage, not a weapon to unleash. That doesn't add up. If the Fever truly believe Caitlin Clark is their franchise cornerstone, then why does everything about the system feel designed to take the ball out of her hands? Why does it feel like the offense is being recentered elsewhere instead of amplified through her? This is where the tension with Stephanie White becomes impossible to ignore. White's basketball ideology values balance and shared creation. Caitlin Clark's value comes from bending defenses until they break. Those two things can coexist, but only if the coach adapts. And adaptation doesn't look like parking Caitlin off ball, treating high usage as a flaw, turning the offense into a motion experiment while your best player watches. It looks like empowerment. Because history is very clear on this. You don't minimize generational guards. You build around them. What makes this worse is that Caitlin isn't resisting coaching. She's asking to grow. She's identifying weaknesses. She's studying elite models. That's not ego, that's professionalism. So when the system actively pulls her away from those strengths, that's not development, that's conflict. And unresolved conflict in this league doesn't stay quiet for long. If you strip away the noise, this really comes down to how Caitlin Clark creates advantages, and whether her coach actually wants those advantages maximized. Caitlin's gravity is her superpower. The moment she crosses half court, defenders cheat. Bigs step up early. Help comes before the action even starts. That's not accidental, that's fear. And the best offenses in basketball don't fight that gravity, they weaponize it. Studying Luka Dončić makes perfect sense. Luka isn't fast. He's not the most athletic. What he does better than almost anyone is force defenders into bad positions. He slows the game down, uses his body, seals defenders on his hip, and makes the defense choose between giving up a bucket or giving up a pass. Caitlin Clark already has the vision. She already has the shooting range. The next step is exactly what she said: absorbing contact, dictating space, and punishing defenders for overplaying her. But here's the issue. That development requires freedom. You can't learn that skill set while being rushed into early passes. You can't master isolation reads while being told to keep the ball moving. And you definitely can't grow into Luka-style control if your coach fundamentally dislikes Luka-style control. That's not about personalities, that's about philosophy. And philosophically, this pairing feels forced. Caitlin Clark isn't asking to hijack the offense, she is the offense. Every elite guard in basketball history went through this phase. The moment where the system stops being the priority and the player becomes it. The question is simple. Will Indiana lean into that reality or keep pretending Caitlin Clark is just another piece? This situation doesn't just affect Caitlin Clark. It exposes a recurring problem inside the WNBA. The league says it wants stars. It says it wants growth. It says it wants eyeballs. But too often when a true needle mover shows up, the instinct is to contain instead of amplify. Caitlin Clark represents a shift. She brings in casual fans who don't care about motion offense debates. They care about moments, shots, drama, control. The same things that made Luka, Steph, and Dame household names. And that makes parts of the basketball establishment uncomfortable. There's a cultural tension here. Do you prioritize egalitarian basketball ideals? Or do you accept that star-driven basketball is what actually grows leagues? Because the NBA already answered that question years ago. What's happening with Caitlin Clark feels like the WNBA wrestling with its own identity. Instead of asking, how do we build the best possible version of Caitlin? The conversation keeps drifting toward, how do we make her fit? That's backwards. If this league truly wants its next level, it has to stop treating high-usage brilliance like a moral flaw. Caitlin Clark being the engine isn't selfish, it's efficient, it's entertaining, and most importantly, it's what fans show up for. If Indiana gets this wrong, the consequences won't just be losses. It'll be wasted momentum, missed opportunity, and a message to future stars that fitting in matters more than standing out. That's not how leagues grow. So here's where we land, and there's no more dancing around it. Caitlin Clark is not a role player. She's not a system piece. And she's definitely not someone you build around with hesitation. She is the system. Every sign points to this pairing being wrong. Not because Stephanie White can't coach, but because she doesn't coach this kind of player. And that matters. Coaching fit matters just as much as talent. Caitlin Clark has made it clear. She wants to evolve, dominate, and expand her game. She wants responsibility. She wants the ball when it matters. She wants to grow into the kind of player defenses fear before the play even starts. If Indiana embraces that, they unlock something special. If they fight it, they'll waste one of the most important moments in WNBA history. This isn't about disrespect, it's about reality. The fans aren't tuning in for motion offense experiments. They're tuning in for Caitlin Clark. So the choice is simple: get aligned or get out of the way. Because Caitlin Clark is coming back healthy, motivated, and ready to remind everyone why the spotlight found her in the first place. This is Her Hoops. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Is Stephanie White the right coach for Caitlin Clark? Yes or no? Like, subscribe, and share if you're here for real hoops.